If you're anything like me, when you started out streaming, you probably spent a lot of time watching videos about these microphones because audio is important. In fact, it is the most important part of a stream, other than being able to actually be live. Essentially, what you need to do is have great audio, and a lot of the time when you're watching these videos, you keep hearing the same thing. XLR microphones. But are they worth it? Should you get a USB or an XLR microphone? Well, today I'm going to break down a lot of different things and settle a score, such as cost, complications, features that you're missing depending on which one you go for. And of course, to really settle the score, we're going to find out whether or not you guys can tell the difference with a blind taste test between my Audio-Technica AT2020 Plus USB microphone that I've been using for 11 months and my new Rode PodMic that I've been using for about a month now. Let's go. Hey, I'm Eljay with StreamScheme.com. I'm also a variety streamer over at twitch.tv/LJM_. Links to both those in the description. I am live right now, most likely. And over at StreamScheme.com, we currently have over 600 guides all about streaming and everything related to it. You want to find out something and it's not on this channel? Check out the website, because it's probably over there. Before we get into our blind taste test for your ears about these microphones, I want to throw it out there, a big thank you to our sponsor, Own.tv. If you don't know Own.tv by now, guys, well, you should, because they've supported this channel a lot. They're your one-stop shop for all things related to streaming, whether it's overlays, sound effects, you name it. It could even be sub emotes or badges. They've got it all. There's a link in the description to check them out. Massive thank you to them. If you want to support me, go support them because it really helps us out. Seeing as it's 9 p.m. at night, it's still 32 degrees Celsius here in Australia and 85% humidity, let's get straight into this video with our blind hearing test. I'm gonna play 4 different clips of audio, A, B, C, or D, and what I want you to do is comment down below if you think it's an XLR or a USB microphone. Bonus points if you can figure out which ones are which specific mics, actually. I don't think you will, but just comment down below, USB or XLR, A, B, C, D. You got this. This is a microphone test. This is a simple microphone test.
This is a simple microphone test.
This is a simple microphone test. So let's get straight into it and cover the thing you guys care most about. That's right, audio quality. It's not audio quality. You just want to know about cost and how expensive it is and budget options. Well, the Audio-Technica AT2020 Plus USB edition goes for around 200 to 250 Australian dollars, otherwise known as dollary dues from now on in this video. And then we have to compare that to the Rode PodMic, which smacked me in the face as I was taking it off my mic arm. Already it's losing points. Essentially, this goes for around 100 to 150 Australian dollars, or as I said, dollary dues. And honestly, it has some crazy build quality to it. I'm gonna do a full review just on this microphone soon, but for now, this is gonna be our main tester, seeing as it's quite cheap. Well, in the battle of cost, which of these bad boys wins? Well, I guess technically, the Rode PodMic is cheaper by around 80 dollary dues compared to the AT2020. Does that mean this is the mic to go for in your case? Well, no, because what a lot of people don't understand is that an XLR microphone requires an audio interface, something to take your audio signals and convert them to digital signals for your computer and OBS and slobs to tackle. So I can slap this AT2020 Plus USB microphone directly onto my Rode PSA mic arm that smacked me in the face earlier, and I can instantly start getting good audio. But as I said, I need an audio interface for this, which could start out as a couple $100 dollary dues, such as the Scarlett Focusrite systems, which are fantastic little guys, or all the way up to $1,000 dollary dues with the GoXLR system. But there's actually more equipment I need for that. Not only do I need a special XLR cable, but if I'm gonna get a different mic, such as the Shure SM7B, one of the most popular streamer mics, and I wanna get a Focusrite to save money, I won't actually be able to use them together unless I spend another $250 dollary dues on a cloud lifter. Something to help that microphone communicate better to the interface. I won't go into it now, but essentially when it comes to a battle of cost, the AT2020 Plus and most USB mics will always win. You could say you get what you pay for, and I would totally agree with you. If you're gonna buy an XLR stuff, you're probably gonna get better audio out of it. But why is it that there are so many streamers out there who can bring in 5,000, 2,000, heck, even 30,000 views on a USB microphone? Is it that they're special? Is it that they just don't want to upgrade? Well, I think it comes down to 2 factors. The first being the good enough, as in they don't care. The audio is fine, they're doing well. And the second, it's a bit complicated to set up an XLR microphone. At the end of the day, no matter who you are, you cannot deny that when it comes to complicated setups and simplicity, the USB mics win. There's no question about that. For example, I could hand this AT2020 Plus or a Blue Yeti or any USB microphone off to pretty much a brand new person. I could give them my video about how to set up your microphone, and I reckon in about 20 to 30 minutes, they could walk away sounding like David Attenborough on the set of BBC. Which, fun fact, apparently before every single recording, he just sculls a pint of milk. That might be another audio tip. Compared to maybe an XLR microphone like this PodMic, which can take sometimes days to set up properly. For example, my PodMic, I set up using a GoXLR interface, and it was fairly straightforward for someone with audio experience, but at the same time, I still had to set up my advanced routing table, my audio settings actually inside my PC to route everything to my routing table, and I had to learn how to equalize for this particular mic and for my voice, which isn't simple because at the end of the day, genetics hasn't exactly given me a smooth, buttery tone. No, I sound like I have more gravel than a highway. In fact, it was so complicated to get it sounding right for me that I decided I'd trust an expert, and I went and watched a YouTube video all about equalizing for this microphone on a GoXLR, and I followed exactly step by step there, about 500,000 view tutorial. And I went live, and everyone thought that I sounded like I was talking through an intercom. In fact, people thought I'd suddenly smoked 80 packs a day for 16 years of my life, and then hopped onto a plane and started broadcasting over the speakers. No, I'm not joking, that's actually what someone wrote in my chat that night. Here is the thing though, simplicity isn't always what you want. Yes, I screwed up the very first stream I did with my PodMic, and yes, you could plug this in and leave it for months and be fine without a single setting change. But if you want to take it a step further and maybe bass boost your mic, add a really nice compressor, heck, even just to add some special filters and reverb to it, these XLR microphones tend to be a lot better at that. You see, with more audio quality from an XLR microphone, you get more headroom to play with it and do more to make yourself sound fantastic. The reason you can get a lot better audio quality out of an XLR microphone is because a lot of them are dynamic microphones, whereas a lot of USB microphones are condenser mics. I know I've just said a bunch of words you probably don't know the answer to, so let me explain that. Condenser microphones are incredibly sensitive. In fact, so sensitive that when you're streaming with them, when you're typing on a keyboard or clicking or doing anything, you're most likely gonna pick that audio up. They're much better for a studio environment with some special padding and everything all clean and nice because, well, there's not much noise in there. And if you were in a studio environment and you were talking into one of these, you'd probably out of the box get some really nice, natural sounding tones. But we're probably not in studio environments. No, most of us are probably in our offices or bedrooms or living room. Because, you know, when I was a teenager, I had to game in my living room with my mum watching Grey's Anatomy next to me. The other problem is a lot of manufacturers, because you're doing everything that a mixer and an audio interface would do for an XLR inside the body, they kind of cheap out on that stuff in order to make it affordable for you. And in that case, you tend to get worse quality sound. Not terrible, but worse. So let's compare a condenser USB mic to a dynamic microphone like this PodMic. In short, a dynamic microphone is much better at only activating when you're speaking. It's much better at picking up natural bassy tones from your voice and cutting out any of that background noise such as fans, air conditioners, clacking of a keyboard. However, they do have some things in common, such as their polar pattern, which I know, I'm adding more things to the mix. These are both cardioid microphones, meaning they have a small section in front of them that they will pick their audio up. On the AT 2020, it's where this little blue light would be if it was plugged in, and on this, it is just directly in the top. A lot of people don't look at a polar pattern when they're purchasing a microphone, and it ends up causing a lot of problems for them. For example, I know some people who have the Blue Yeti Snowball, which can be an omnidirectional microphone, and omnidirectional means it picks up a full sphere. I need to put these down. It picks up a full sphere around the microphone compared to just having a single little shotgun look to it. There are other types of polar patterns, but those are the two to be on the lookout for, and specifically avoiding the omnidirectional one, because as a live streamer, you don't want it picking up the sounds of your desk or anywhere else, you just want your voice. So with all that said and done, that means I have to award a winner to the complications side of things. You'd think I'd go with the one that was more simple, wouldn't I? But no, I'm gonna give it to the XLR, because while it is more complicated, it's more complicated because it has a good reason to be. It's more complicated so you can produce better sound, which is more important than it being simple and cheap. Okay, we're gonna give it to the XLR for this one. Speaking of giving points to microphones in categories, what about giving away free overlays? What a segue. That's right, if you want any free overlays, feel free to check them out in our description. They're linked in our Discord, completely easy for you to download, as well as a full tutorial. Or consider checking out the other content on this channel, and if you enjoy it, or you like that segue to get into this little mid-video CTA, then consider subscribing. It will really help us out. Now for the next section, I want to talk about features, and I don't want to go too in depth on particular things because every single microphone, whether it's a USB or an XLR, has its own features and pros and cons connected to it. Instead, I want to talk about some overall features and which microphones you can get them from. Most USB microphones, you're going to need some sort of third-party software to get a lot of the features out of them. For example, you could purchase and download some premium plugins to help you get some really good audio, or you can simply use OBS and Streamlabs built-in filters, which again, I have a whole video covering. Whereas if I were to use this PodMic, most mixers would come with things like compressors and equalizers built into them and make it a lot easier for me to get set up without needing third-party software. For example, for the last 11 months, I've been using this microphone and I've had to make sure I turn off my fan in that 32-degree summer heat here in Australia and still use noise reduction to make sure that there's nothing in the background. However, I can put my fan all the way to the highest setting, blowing directly at my face, and this will not pick it up without a single piece of noise reduction. Yes, dynamic microphones are very, very good. One of the features I've seen a lot on Twitch recently, and I think it's going to become a really big thing moving forward, are a lot of the auto-tune or voice filters or making yourself sound like God or an angry Karen at KFC because she hasn't got 3 chicken nuggets in her bargain bucket. Seriously, the filters are becoming massive. In fact, I actually get them pre-built into my GoXLR that I bought. It's one of the reasons I bought it, because I really wanted to sound like Karen. The GoXLR, it's all set up and very, very easy to get running. However, if I wanted to do that with this, which I have tried to do, it actually requires a lot of setup, which I didn't expect. Not with the GoXLR, in fact, with third-party software, which I won't mention here because there's a few different options. But man, to set that up, I had to route this microphone into the software and the software into OBS, and sometimes they didn't speak, and sometimes if the software wasn't open, it didn't work. And then when I finally got it working, I realized it would never work while I was actually live, because I didn't have a Stream Deck connected properly at the time, meaning I'd have to Alt-Tab out, click open the window, click on the voice that I wanted to make it sound like, tab back in, do my bit for my audience, tab back out, and then turn it off. And then when I got a Stream Deck, half the time it didn't respond. So essentially the GoXLR has a lot of great features built into it that made it a lot easier for me to play with these voices. Another amazing feature that comes with my GoXLR specifically is the routing table I mentioned earlier, and I kind of made it sound like I was complaining about it being complicated, but it's actually pretty simple. Essentially, it allows me to route different audio sources to different sections of my mixer. For example, I have my microphone on my first slider. On my second, I've changed my music to be entirely Google Chrome, meaning that if I'm ever watching a YouTube video, or if I'm playing music for my stream off YouTube, I can control it just that with this slider. On my third, I have my Discord, which I don't actually play with people very often on my stream because I'm alone, but it would help if I did. And on the fourth one, I have my entire audio for my desktop computer, which means my Streamlabs alerts and everything else. And then deeper into the routing, I have also got this, which allows me to check a box to say what audio signals I want to be transmitted to different sections. If I want people to be able to hear my mic, if I want to hear my own mic, if I want people to be able to even hear my Discord or my backing tracks, I can literally cut any signal I want and send it wherever I want or turn it off entirely. Now, everything I've just mentioned is specific with my GoXLR. However, if I were to purchase a Elgato Wave 3, it comes with Wave software, which allows me to do all of this with a USB microphone. Honestly, it's a fantastic little mic as well, and one of my recommendations at the end of this video. Speaking of recommendations, why don't we listen back to what our blind taste test for the ears was and put some mics to those letters. First things first, microphone A was this AT2020 Plus, without any filters set up inside Streamlabs OBS, meaning that it was just the audio directly from this leveled normally. Microphone B was also the AT2020 Plus, however I'd added filters such as a noise gate, a limiter, and noise suppression to my Streamlabs OBS recording track to make it sound a little bit more professional. Could you tell a difference? Microphone C was the Rode PodMic equalized with a GoXLR for my voice, and then just recorded normally. Thought it was pretty good. And finally, microphone D was my Rode PodMic, but this time I had no equalizing on it at all. I just set my bars to be 0, so it was the direct signal out of this. And I found it actually had some really tinny tones to it. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but I'm gonna do a full review on this soon and talk about if I think it's a good mic for you guys to start with. So what did you think? Were you right? Did you know which ones were USB and which ones were XLR? And then furthermore from that, which one did you like the best? I'm sorry if I only used 2 microphones. I wanted to show what you can do with software and some careful equalizing to really give you a difference. And now to answer the question that this video actually poses, which one's better and is it worth upgrading to an XLR microphone? Yes, obviously, but no. Because at the end of the day, you probably don't need this yet. I spent, as I said, $250 dues on my AT2020 Plus, and it's done fantastic things for me over the last 11 months. As a full-time streamer now, I wanted to have a little extra oomph to my voice, which is why I got this. When starting out, it's fine to have a USB microphone, and there are some really great options on the market. The Blue Yeti is a workhorse that's been around for literally years and years and years, and it's not going anywhere. The AT2020 Plus, as I said, is a fantastic, solid, well-built microphone, and then the Elgato Wave 3 is coming out and completely smashing everyone because of the software attached to it. Being able to control and route all your own audio sources with that microphone software is fantastic. The only problem is the software only works with the Elgato Wave, so you gotta buy the mic to get the software, but it's probably worth it for most streamers. And then later, if you feel like upgrading, you can grab a PodMic and a GoXLR or a Focusrite, or you could do what I've just done and grab yourself a Shure SM7B, one of the most popular mics of all time, which I have a full review coming soon on, to find out whether it was worth me spending another $580 dues when I've got this bad boy as well. Let's see, PodMic versus Shure? I think we all know what's gonna win. The PodMic, right? I really hope this video has given you guys a great starting point to understand the difference between USB and XLR microphones, condenser versus dynamic, cardioid versus omnidirectional, and given you a few recommendations to look into. I'll see you guys next week for more content, as well as a review about the PodMic and the Shure SM7B coming soon. Thanks guys.